You're listening to The Breakfast Show on Faith FM with me, Skafy, and I have Daniel Livingston with me co-hosting the show, and we have the Double S team at the production desk, Shell and Shells.
And we are all real people, not AI
We're
agents.
all real people, not AI agents. Enjoy while you can.
I think we've just been overtaken.
You know, a while ago, I was introducing Shell, saying she's keeping us safe from the robots here. I'm thinking that this job description is becoming more and more real, producer Shell. Like, more than we probably would want to admit. This is like the robot thing is coming. We're talking about the AI, the new tools that are really revolutionizing, and I think that they're going to revolutionize the AI for the rest of the year. We spoke about Moltbook. We spoke about what's the name? OpenClaw, the agent that can do stuff on the computer and cell phones for you, like a person would. We talked about rentahuman.ai. Would you rent yourself to work for a robot radio friend? Let us know, 0491064669, and how much would you charge so that you can be the robot's body around, carrying stuff, going places, and doing things that the robots cannot do. Let us know if you would enroll into that social media. That would be interesting. But there's another phenomenon that's coming to social to the AI. Just before the quiz question, producer Shaw, I just want to say this one. This one is actually not good. I mean, I do not know if the others we can classify as good or not. But this one is definitely not good.
On the not good side.
Yes.
Yeah.
Advertising coming to AI, to a lot of the AI software. So, for example, you can have like a free version of ChatGPT, and you're asking, "Hey, ChatGPT, how can I, can you help me to do this, and that?" And they will give you some tips and say, "Hey, have you considered subscribing to this platform or to this product or to this service?" So the AI will start recommending to you recommendations of products or services or businesses or social medias or websites based on having received payment from that. So it's kind of like Google advertising, but for AI. So a lot of people. So now, if today AI is kind of like neutral, from now on, there's going to be an agenda behind the AI answer to you, which is like trying to sell you something to collect commission. So that's a development that a lot of people are not really very excited about.
So what's the user experience like? So when I use ChatGPT, I'll be getting a heap more ads. Is that what you're saying?
That's right. Yeah. As part of the suggestions on how to do something, for example, why don't you try this product and this
brought
product?
To you by our sponsor.
Yeah. It's not going to probably say it's brought to you by our sponsor, but why are you choosing that particular brand over 100 different brands? Okay. Well, because now they're going to be monetizing, sponsoring it. Right. So, or your business can pay OpenAI kind of like you pay Facebook ads or Google ads, so that your name, your brand, your company will start to appear into people's AI conversations.
So if I'm a producer of I don't know, junk food, and people type in what's a healthy diet, will AI say, look, I don't know, you should eat lots of my junk food? Like, is that...
Look, I do not know how they're going to calibrate the AI to that. But one of the things that the AI can do, they can say, look, this is a healthy diet. However, it's actually healthy for your mind to, so if you're feeling like a cheat day someday, or if you're feeling like eating something not so healthy, hey, what about this? What about that? So I don't know how it's going to work, but a lot of people are not really excited.
No.
Some of them are actually playing on that advertising. Entropic, for example, they're saying, hey, by the way, we are going to stay ad-free forever, so come to us. So they're using that as a competitive advantage. But that's new development coming to the AI world. So expect to see a lot of product recommendations in AI conversations. Producer Shout, speaking of recommendations, do you have a quiz question to recommend to us?
I have a quiz question for you.
Well, Producer Shell just has been replaced by her a digital assistant, Robot Shell.
Would you like to hear the quiz question now?
Yes, please, Producer Shell. Please.
She's been working on that for quite a while.
Oh, that's epic. I want
All right, so our fourth quiz question of the morning. Who made it all grow? In 1 Corinthians 3, verse 6. Who made it all grow?
Okay.
I think I know that one.
We have correct answers in the studio. Well done. Apollos watered it, but who made it all grow? That is our question for today. 0491-064-669.
Fantastic.
That was a good
This
question.
is a good
Robot
question.
Shell.
Thank you very much, Robot Shell. Let's get back into our Bible study here, Dan. So we are looking at the book of Philippians. We are up to chapter 4. We were talking about rejoicing always, and that is a very crucial skill to have, and we spoke about it 2 days ago, and Narek was here with us in the studio, and we're talking about this is an actual skill of being able to give thanks to God in all circumstances, because the Bible doesn't say, hey, give thanks to God when things are good, give thanks to God in general. It says, look, give thanks to God in all things. And what we talked about is, we spoke about how sometimes the things that we are grateful for, they're not so evident. We kind of have to dig just a little bit, but we're going to find them. Jesus says, blessed are those who mourn, because they shall be comforted. So we can be grateful not because we lost someone. We'll never be grateful for that. But we can be grateful that we have the hope of seeing them again at the resurrection. That's the spirit of what we spoke about last time. So really developing that skill of whatever situation happens. Is it something good? Well, you can give thanks. If it's something bad, we can pray to God, ask for help, but also give thanks to that situation, because there will be something there. And that spirit of gratitude, I think, enables the Holy Spirit to work with us in a much more powerful way, and enables us to walk with confidence, walk with peace of mind, no matter the circumstance, which is a trademark of a Christian, a trademark of a genuine disciple of Jesus, to have that peace that surpasses all understanding. And that is one difference that Jesus offered to his disciples that the world does not know about. The world only knows the peace that comes from having everything in order, everything going all right. When things go wrong, people start to fret, people start to freak out, people start to become anxious, people start to become... Well, for the Christian that is following this advice, it's different. Yes, the same bad situations can be happening to them, but they are going to traverse it with peace, with confidence, with calmness, with hope, with trust. And this is something that it's a gift from God, and this is something that we'll also witness about the power of God.
And Philippians is that theme really comes through in many key verses.
Because this is what Paul was experiencing,
yeah.
even though he had a death sentence looming over his own head.
Yeah, right.
So let's keep going here, and let's read verse 4. So that's we the entire show last time we did on verse 4, but let's look at verse 4 and verse 5 today.
This is Philippians 3, right?
Philippians chapter 4.
Sorry,
and
chapter
verse
4.
4. Yeah.
Okay. All right. Rejoice in the Lord always. Again, I will say rejoice. And through to verse 6, you said? Or 7?
Verse 5.
Verse 5. Let your gentleness be known to all men. The Lord is at hand.
Okay, let's just pause here. The thing about Apostle Paul, I think we have to... I benefit from reading really like verse to verse and exploring here what he's saying. He's saying, rejoice for everything. And right after, he says, let your gentle spirit be known to all men. The Lord is near. Because when we're rejoicing for always, guess what? Then we are going to be able to have a spirit of gentleness or a gentle spirit or a quiet spirit about us. And he said, look, the Lord is near. What do you think that Paul meant with that concept of the Lord is near? What does it mean, the Lord is near?
Yeah, so Jesus had just been, physically there on earth. And so it's a reminder that, Jesus may have gone back to heaven, but he's coming soon. He's here with us by his Holy Spirit. And we don't need to be anxious or fear anything. He is just as with us as at the peak of his earthly ministry, here with us. And, that we can fully trust God for everything.
God is near. I mean, he's near physically through the Holy Spirit, but God is also near. There's a psalm that says that God is near to the brokenhearted. And I think that there's just something, you know how, look, when you were a father, you have two beautiful children. What happens when your children are distressed? Do you remove yourself from them, or do you go near them to comfort them?
Yeah, we go near them. Yeah, for
it's
sure.
kind of like instinctual, isn't it?
Yeah, yeah.
Like if you see your child, maybe they fell, maybe they're distressed, maybe they are stressed, maybe they're crying. Instinctively, what do? We don't say, oh no, crying child, let me just go out of this place.
Yeah.
No, you go there, you cuddle them, you hold them, and you say, hey, what happened? Why are you crying? Talk to me. Let's understand what's going on. You're coming near to them. And I think it's the same with God. He kind of gives us, and I think he rejoices giving us a little bit of distance, like a healthy kind of a distance. Say, hey, Dan, here's your space. I wouldn't say distance. Here's your space so you can create, you can do your things, you can make your decisions. But when we ourselves are distressed, God said, look, I think that Dan needs me a little bit closer to him today.
Yeah.
So God,
Yeah.
it's a bit of a paradox, but God is closer to us when we are more distressed, and he gives us a little bit more space when we're not distressed. And I think that as a parent that sees that their children are playing nicely with their friends, and he just lets them to have their space and enjoy, always keeping that watchful eye. But if something happens, then he comes near. I think that sort of reality of parenting kind of reflects a little bit about how God is.
C.S. Lewis put it that God whispers to us in our pleasures and shouts to us in our pains. And it's not an angry shout.
I think he speaks louder to us when.
Yes.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. I think that's the spirit of it. So Paul saying, hey, the Lord is near, therefore you can show a gentle spirit, and also as a result of you being thankful to all things, and rejoicing for all things.
Yeah.
Which is more even than being thankful. You're rejoicing. Somehow you're finding the silver lining on everything and rejoicing for the things that happen. And then he keeps going here. He's not going to just stop. He's going to be talking about something like, the next 3 verses are like so amazing. I think that they deserve to be highlighted in every Bible, maybe even printed and placed against a wall. Let's read verse 6.
Be anxious for nothing, but in everything by prayer and supplication with thanksgiving, let your requests be made known to God.
Yeah. Okay, let's just explode it. This is so rich then.
Yeah.
Be anxious for nothing.
Yeah.
You'll be anxious for nothing. And maybe you can say, but Apostle Paul, how are you saying that I cannot be anxious for nothing? I'm about to lose my job. I'm about to lose my spouse, my son, my daughter, my family. I'm about to lose my health. I'm about to lose my house. I'm about to lose all of these kinds of things. And Apostle Paul is writing this, by the way. He's in jail with some pretty nasty Roman guards, surrounding, his position. And he has a death threat looming at his own head. And say, hey, don't be anxious for anything.
Yeah.
I'm not anxious. You shouldn't be anxious for anything.
Yeah.
So how? But then they question, okay, how? It's just not. There was a skit that I once watched. Then I do not know who made this skit. Otherwise, I would tell you. But basically, it was a guy going to the therapist, the psychologist. And the guy came to the psychologist, he was struggling. He was struggling with things of life, I'm struggling, and the psychologist would ask, okay, what are you struggling with? Oh, I'm having these negative thoughts about myself, about my life, and so on. And the psychologist would just go and say, just stop it. Stop it! Stop it!
Stop it.
And he just starts screaming, stop it! Stop it! And he's kind of as if just saying, hey, stop having these feelings, as if that was, that was going to be simple enough to resolve his issue. And after the end, like everything that he was saying, he's saying, yeah, just stop it. Just stop doing this. Period. And you're going to be better. And after the end, like he gives him like, no, here, $100 bill for my hour. But this is not the Apostle Paul. He's giving us the actual steps to not be anxious. He's not just saying, stop being anxious. He's not saying that. He's just saying, look, don't be anxious, but this is what you do instead. Or every time that you do get anxious, what is it? Read that for us after this, be anxious for nothing.
At verse 7 in the piece.
Yeah, in verse 6 too.
Verse 6. But in everything by prayer and supplication, with thanksgiving, let your requests be made known to God.
Right.
Yeah, that's the take home. Like, it's not just stop it. This is what you do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But in everything, by first prayer and supplication. What's the difference between prayer and supplication? Why are two different words here, you think?
I guess prayer is the umbrella word because prayer involves praise and thanksgiving. Supplication is the act of asking.
Yeah. Supplication is in Greek, deomai, can mean asking, or can mean request. It can mean begging. I kind of like that, the begging part of things. Not that God wants us to be begging, kind of like, yeah, I'm only going to do this for if you beg me. No, this is not what God is.
But it's a recognition of our
Yeah.
our position in relation to God.
That's
like
right.
we
Of
don't bring
humility.
anything to the table.
That's right. Is acknowledging of humility and just acknowledging that, hey, God, look, it's in your hands. There's
Yeah,
nothing
yeah.
here
Yeah.
with me. And sometimes we naturally supplicate when things are really looking gloom for the future. I think that we naturally say, God, look, so sorry. Like when our life is on the line, and this is when we try to supplicate, say, God, please do something. But this attitude of supplication and fervor, I think, should accompany our prayers much more often than they normally do. I don't think we need to wait to an extreme to happen to be really recognizing how much we need of God, how much we depend on Him, in claiming His promises. I think this is something that we can incorporate in our prayers a bit more often. Certainly, I can incorporate in my own prayers a bit more often.
Yeah, me too.
Sometimes we kind of take it for granted. Say, hey, God, can you please help me with this, and that? Can you please help Ben with this, and that? And kind of
Yeah.
make it more of a business transaction.
Yeah.
And really,
a shopping list.
kind of a shopping list.
Yeah.
And I'm saying, hey, just pausing for a minute and recognizing the gravitas of the situation.
Yeah.
Recognizing that, hey, look, we are before an all-powerful being who, if he wanted to, he could just like snap his fingers like that and we could fall dead. He's not going to do this because he loves us, but he has the power to do so.
Yeah.
And just kind of approaching God as the being that powerful, but also that willing to help us. I think it will cause our prayers to be a little bit more humble and a little bit more fervent.
You're listening to the Breakfast Show podcast on Faith FM. Positively different.
And we have a quiz question from producer Shell, the answer to the quiz question, and a new one for the segment.
We do indeed. So God makes everything grow, but in 1 Corinthians 3:6, it specifically says that He was the
God
one.
gives the increase.
That's right. Yeah. It says, I planted, Apollos watered, but God gave the increase. So, yeah.
And that came from that perspective of ancient people, and I guess today as well, that nobody really knows how the plant actually grows. I mean, we can try to explain it, like, there's, the plant has a DNA, has some genetics, its instructions, and so on. But look, the only things that we can control is the environment around the plant, the nutrients we're giving. But then we go to bed at night, and when we wake up the next morning, the plant has grown a little bit. So that's the idea of like God grows. God gives the growth by Himself. We don't have to do anything. You don't have to, as a farmer, to go there and stretch the plant with your hand. Probably you're going to destroy the hand if you even try to do this. The plant, from our perspective, is growing automatically. The only thing that we can do is to water and to take care of the nutrient side of things. All right, Producer Shah, what's the next quiz question?
Okay, why was King Nebuchadnezzar so angry at Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego? And again, I want the exact 5 words that I've written down. I'm kidding. Just one.
Is it 5?
No.
Check it. How many words?
I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 words.
Oh,
Wow.
Okay, this is going to be $1 billion.
Yeah.
The chances.
Why was King Nebuchadnezzar so angry at Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego? 0491064669.
How many words have I got? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9.
You got 9. Let's see. I will totally accept that, even though it's not exactly
Not
what
the
I
$1 billion
wrote.
answer?
No, it's not. Well
accept
done.
my answer?
Is yours 9 as well?
Mine, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8.
Oh, 8. Yeah, well obviously you're not going to get the $1 billion with 8.
I will put a bro. That's the last word here. There you go. Now it's 9.
You both got them correct. Well done.
Thanks, producer Shell.
The phone number here, 0491-064-669 for you to text in what you think the answer is. What was the reason? And obviously we're just being a bit fun. You don't have to send in 9 words. But what was the reason that King Nebuchadnezzar was angry with the 3 fellows named Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego?
Abednego, which Abednego, I must say, is the nightmare of anyone that struggles with dyslexia. I have heard so many versions of his name. I have heard Abendigo. I think because of Bendigo. There's a lot of Bendigos
well,
out there.
if you say it faster, it just starts to sound like that.
Yeah,
and so
right.
I think that's the, because you can obviously pronounce it Abednego, which I hear a lot, Abednego.
Yeah.
But if you're just saying it quickly,
It comes
the
out as
D
Abednego.
just starts to turn into a B for some reason.
Yeah.
And when you're
And
you're saying it.
my favorite one from one of my friends who has dyslexia, but I just love the way that she said it. She'll call it a bungalow.
Hey, Bengal.
Shadrach, Meshach, and a bungalow. I love it. It's so fun.
Well, text us in, play along.
All right. Then Paul is giving us the right of order here of how not to be anxious about anything.
Yeah.
But in everything, pray, supplicate. But it has a modifier with supplication, which I think is so important. It's called without prayer, supplication
With thanksgiving.
With thanksgiving. So how does it work?
Yeah, I struggle with this because my prayer lists, I have I pray without consulting my prayer list for significant part of my prayer life, but also I have a prayer list on my. I've got an app on my phone called Todoist, and it has a lot of things that I need to do. And sometimes I put a prayer tag on my tasks so that it reminds me to pray for them. And so as I pray, I go through all the tasks that have prayer associated with them. And so I typically pray for things that are not yet resolved. And then when the task is complete, I hit done. And I don't see it on my prayer list anymore. So I don't have the opportunity I don't have the reminder to thank God for things that are resolved.
Yeah, all right. Okay, yes.
So that is a, and I think we all kind of struggle with that. We have prayer lists for the things that aren't resolved. And then once they're resolved, they're not on that prayer list anymore. But there are times when I go through and see what has God done and thank Him for the things that I used to pray for. And with my app, I can see the completed tasks. I can unhide those and
I think it's a great idea.
Yeah, and see what to thank God for the things that are already done. But we can also thank God in advance. Like
because that's where my mind took. I didn't realize, but I love how you're saying, hey, Thanksgiving is remembering to thank God for the answers to prayer that He gave.
Yeah,
and that is amazing. So when we come here to each other, say, hey, I just want to be thankful to God. This is what God has done for me. But also there's this idea of actually, hey, I can actually be thankful to God in advance for things. We actually do that sometimes, particularly when you're writing someone an email, you're asking something a little bit difficult, and you already thank the person in advance. Hey, thanks in advance,
TIA.
by the way. TIA.
Yeah.
We can do TIAs in prayers.
Yes.
TIAs did not originate with the email culture. It is something that is making way back in time, where Jesus Himself says, when you pray, believe that you have received it already.
Yeah.
There is even the question, believe that you have received what? And in the Greek, it says, believe that you have received the answer to your prayer. Not necessarily your answer to the prayer, but believe that when you pray, that God has received the message and He is going to do something about that prayer.
That's even better than what we've...
Even better than you thought.
Yeah,
according that which will maximize His glory, His praise, maximize the amount of justice in the plan, maximize the overall benefit for that, which is not often
includes
exactly
our
what
own benefit.
We includes our own benefit.
Yeah.
So sometimes even when we're praying for something, just a classic example is a person, let's say a young lady praying because, she really wants that particular young man to be her boyfriend. and maybe they become girlfriend and boyfriend. They start dating, but after a while they decide to break up, and she's not trying to understand why did that happen. I prayed, God gave to me, and now it's not. So hey, you can actually thank God. Maybe that was the answer to prayer. Maybe it was not meant for you two to be together, but God allowed you to be together for a season so that you could grow in that during that period. You can learn new things during that period.
Yeah.
Say, actually, you can actually rejoice. Say, God, thank you so much, because it means that that was not the person whom it's supposed to be, who I'm supposed to be together for life.
Yeah.
Sometimes it gets really hard in that level of relationships, because we can often transform our ideas, our relationships into idols, and we hang on to that as if, no, God, take them away from me. See, every time that a young lady or a young man came to me and said, "No, Skafy, I'm devastated. I broke up my relationship, my girlfriend, my boyfriend." I tried not to sound too facetious, but I say to them, "Look, praise God. I'm actually so happy. You're sad. I'm actually happy. Let's go and give. Let's give an offering to God, a Thanksgiving offering here.
Yeah.
The best offering you can do, because this could be a deliverance. It could be relationships like dating, courtship relationships. They are meant to end. That's what they're designed for. Either they will end because you get married, or they will end because that was not, it was not the right relationship. Yeah. So whatever the situation is, of course there is sadness, and I sympathize. I'm not a robot, okay? I'm not oblivious. But at the same time, what I try to do with particularly young people is to share another perspective and say, hey, we can actually be thankful to God in all circumstances, including the
painful ones.
Yes.
Yeah.
And you know what? Looking back then, probably they must feel like, embarrassed even. Because, what happens so often is that after a few years, they ended up finding the one person, ended up getting married, and they look back, you know what, if I stayed, or if I insisted in that other person, I would never meet my current person, which I like 10 times better than before. Certainly happened to me. I think it will happen to everyone at some point in time.
Yeah.
So prayer and supplication with thanksgiving, both before and after. Let your requests be known to God.
I think the thanksgiving can also be looking back. Like, we can thank God for what's coming that, will be better than we can imagine, we can hope for. But also looking back, like, if something bad was to happen, I went to a funeral earlier in the week as I mentioned, we are really sad and upset that person died. He was, relatively young.
So what happened? Was it like a bit of an accident or something? Or
medical. We're not fully sure, but some sort of medical episode.
Okay.
Yeah, and while he was out surfing, actually, and
oh wow.
Yeah, so just tragic. But we can also be thankful for the blessing of that person's life and his influence, and all of the, the amazing impact that his life had. There were probably, several hundred, I don't know how many hundred, but maybe even 1,000 people at the funeral.
They were touched by his life.
Yeah, and so that's an amazing opportunity for Thanksgiving for the good that has happened, even though it seems prematurely ended, and like we're devastated about that. But there's a lot of Thanksgiving that can go with that.
Yeah, and it can be prematurely ended. This is one thing that a lot of Christians are not super comfortable with. But I have to say, I'll show you Bible verses about it. Because people say, that was God's time. And I say, not necessarily was God's time. If you read the book of Ecclesiastes, you see that, there's a passage that talks about the randomness of life. It says here, the race is not always to the swift, nor the fight to the strongest. Say, hey, look, sometimes things don't go according to what's kind of the logical thing to happen.
Or what's the best thing.
Or is the best thing to happen, or the just thing to happen.
Yeah.
That's number one thing. But then there is another passage in the Bible that says here, I'm going to find the exact passage. It's in either in Ecclesiastes or in Proverbs, which says, don't be... Basically what it says is, why would you make your life shorter than it should be? Kind of talking like, don't be excessively sort of meddling to other people's affairs. For example, it's just using that as an example, but the consequence is, why would you die before the time? Which makes me think that it is possible indeed to die before the time.
Yeah, right.
If I'll type in that passage and we'll find out. But the point that I'm saying is, we can give thanks. We can be thankful for things even when they are outside of our control. And some people, they get that idea of, hey, we can be thankful for things because everything happens for a purpose and everything happens according to the divine plan. Have you heard people saying that?
Many times, yeah.
But I personally, in my reading of the Bible, I sincerely disagree. I think that yes, God has a purpose. Yes, God is able to work out for good. Even things that come out as tragedies and as terrible things, God is able to somehow transform them. He's able to transform curses into blessings. God is a specialist in doing that. But at the same time, not everything that happens on this planet is according to God's purpose.
No, there's so many things that weren't.
A lot of
according to
things.
Yeah.
That's right. God allows everything that happens. God allowed it to happen. He allowed the natural interaction of the freedom of choice of the various agents and the other things involved. He allows things to happen because God is not a micro nano manager.
Yeah.
That is just controlling everyone like puppets. And no, he gives us freedom. Freedom is a real thing.
Yes.
Freedom of choice is a real thing. It's not an illusion that some people present. Even some Christians present, yeah, it's an illusion. No, it's not an illusion. It's a real thing. God sometimes chooses to interfere. Sometimes God chooses not to interfere. Sometimes he chooses to intervene. Sometimes he chooses not to intervene. But in all things, we can be thankful to God. So God is in control at all times, even if that which has happened was not according to God's will. So much so, and I say to people like, "Oh, Skafy, how can you say this?" Well, the proof is in the pudding. How? The Lord's Prayer. I think it's the greatest proof of that. What does God say? Jesus says, when you pray like this, Heavenly Father, hallowed be thy name. Your will be done on earth as it is in heaven. We have to ask God for his will to be done on earth because it's not automatically done.
If
it was automatic, there was no reason to
need
ask.
To pray. Yeah.
We just thank say, thank you that your will is always being done as it is in heaven. No, in heaven, God's will is done. Among the angels, it is done because the angels are walking in God's laws and consulting with God and walking in his
still
statutes.
within their freedom.
Still within their freedom,
They
but
don't
they're
have
choosing.
to have the banana this day and the apple that day. Like they can choose which fruit, but it's all good choices, and they are within God's will because they're not sitting.
Yeah.
Whereas we have the not only freedom to choose an apple or a banana, but also the freedom to all in the universe has the freedom to sin, but we have that tendency, that natural desire for sin because of our fallen natures. Because of our ancestors, our forefathers choosing sin, and so that we're born with those natures.
Yeah. Oh,
You're
I
looking
found
for
the
Ecclesiastes 7:17.
Yeah, 7:17. It's such a look. It's a bit of a ground sort of shaking, but it's a beautiful passage. Would you like to read it for us?
Do not be overly wicked, nor be foolish. Why should you die before your time?
Yeah. So basically, look, don't be excessively wicked. Because if you're excessively wicked, let's say you're involved with gangs and criminal activity and so on, chances are you're going to die young.
And just because somebody dies young, it doesn't mean that
No,
they've been wicked or foolish. Like the world is wicked and foolish. And
that's right.
Yeah,
that's right. So there's a whole bunch of things that can happen. But look, basically, why die before your time by either getting involved in really risky criminal activity or just being excessively foolish, like not really counting risk and doing like stupid things?
Yeah.
You're seeing some of these videos on social media, on Instagram, for example, and they say they often are labeled "Why men live less years than women," and then you can see like oftentimes like young dudes just doing some daredevil stomps that are extremely silly.
Yeah.
And don't do this. There's a lot of unnecessary risk taking that is foolish. And people say like, well, why are you going to cut short your life? Like it's not worth it.
Yeah.
It's not worth it. So there you go. Ecclesiastes chapter 7, verse 17. We're coming to the end of our Bible study here, but I think we covered a good ground here. Paul is giving us the antidote against anxiety. And the antidote against anxiety is presented to God
with thanksgiving.
With thanksgiving and supplication. Knowing that God has heard your prayer and knowing that he will answer the prayer in the best time, in the best moment. And you can actually thank him ahead of time and rest in that knowledge that, hey, you know what? God is going to solve that situation. One way or the other, I do not know. It's up to him. God, I wanted you to solve it in the way A, but if it's in the way B or C or D or something that is completely outside of my imagination, I'm thanking you anyway.
You're listening to the Breakfast Show podcast on Faith FM. Positively different.
We are going to review now the answer to the quiz question. So please, producer Shell.
So the question was, why was King Nebuchadnezzar so angry at Hananiah, Mishael, and Azariah, or Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego?
In the Bengalo.
It was because they would not bow down and worship his statue. Those were my 9 words. I think Simon sent through. They would not worship the golden image that he had set up, which I think is a pretty good,
succinct answer.
Yeah, very biblical, accurate answer there.
Using a couple more than 9 words.
Yeah,
It was.
we
It was
have a
11
lot of
words.
a lot of great answers coming here from Liz, from Braden, David. We actually got a message here from Wayne that I wanted to read. It's an interesting message here. He said, "Good morning, blessings. I love you all." Thanks, Wayne. We love you too. The other week I was driving my car and I went past a mobile speed camera. I wasn't sure on my speed yet, been there, but I felt guilty and started to worry about the fine, which I can't afford. Haven't we all been there?
Yeah.
I definitely have been there. I stopped the car and I was so worried about the fine that I started to pray, "Lord, please help me that I won't get a fine." While I was praying, I felt even more guilt. I couldn't believe that it seemed I was praying with more heart and emotion for a fine or money than I felt when I pray for my sins, which covers death. I couldn't believe I was starting to take Jesus' gift of his death and resurrection for granted.
Yeah.
I thank the Lord for bringing me back to what is important and sitting me back at the feet of Christ at the cross. Amen. Turns out I wasn't speeding. Happy
Awesome. That's great.
That is a great testimony. And look, I have been there. Wayne, don't feel too guilty. I mean, feel guilty, the proper guilt, but I can say that I have been in the same situation. Sometimes I have prayed for material things with way more fervor than for higher and heavier spiritual things.
Yeah,
and I think it's
right.
good that we can actually have that realization. Hey, wait a minute. I'm inverting the order of priorities here. God, please help me get the
Yeah.
others back in the line here.
Yeah.
It's very difficult. Our heart, it so easily gets attached to the things of this world. And that's why Jesus says that, look, money for a lot of people can be equal to a God that they worship with all their affection.
Yeah. Yeah, the love of money, the root of all evil.
The root of all evil is the love of money. Not money itself, but the love.
Yes, no,
for
money is
Money can be a
is
good
tool.
thing. It's a tool. It can be a
Yeah.
good thing. Well, okay, fantastic. Thanks, Wayne, for sharing that testimony, and I'm glad that you did not get that fine.
Yeah,
'Cause, it
me
would
me
be
too.
hefty.
For me, that was the ending that I was looking for. But I think the ending that Wayne left us with is really the important one, and that is that he was able to reconnect with
Yes.
the true gift of God, and that is of forgiveness and life.
There's a much heftier penalty that we need to be worried about,
Yeah,
which is the penalty for sins, which is death.
Yeah,
And that
it's
one
separation
Jesus
from
paid
God.
for us. So
Yeah.
compared to that one, what is a couple of $100s? I mean,
Yes.
it's not nice, but nothing in comparison to the actual debt that Jesus paid for us.
Yeah.
That is indeed an that we could not afford
Yes.
at all,
yeah.
and we could not pay for it. We're coming to the end of our show. Today is Friday, is the preparation day in Greek, Paraskevi. It's the day of preparation. So what are you going to be doing tomorrow, Dan?
We'll be at church.
I'm going to be at church as well.
We will be resting on the Sabbath day, but not resting as in just sleeping in. Resting as in putting aside the busyness, the work of our regular, daily living, and resting in God.
Yeah, same here. I love how you said that. It's not just just a physical rest. There is a little bit of a physical rest component.
Yeah.
So, for example,
Yeah.
I'm training for a triathlon to an Ironman, but not on the Sabbath. That's my day, like complete rest, like
Yeah.
physical rest. But the most important rest is not the physical one. is a spiritual one. We can actually stop running after the things of this world. We can actually run after these spiritual things unimpeded on that day. You can think about the Lord, you can visit people, you can think about God, how can we bless people. It's really such an amazing break for
and
your mental health.
We don't need to run far for this blessing of the Sabbath. The Sabbath comes to us.
The Sabbath comes to us. Wherever we are, it can be in prison, the Sabbath comes to us. But you know what? One of the best ways to spend the Sabbath is to go find a church, a group of believers that share the same hope, spend time with them, share the words of gratitude, and worship Jesus together with them. I hope to see you tomorrow. So in the meantime, on Monday, we'll be back with So Talk Faith, Live Faith, and Act Faith.
God be with you till we meet again. God be with you till we meet again. By his counsel's guide uphold you, with his sheep securely fold you. God be with you till we meet again. Until we meet again at Jesus' feet.
Thanks for being a part of the Faith FM family. Join our community on Facebook or get in touch at 1-800-FAITH-FM.